It's Ash from SuperVideos back for another video for the Walking Dead universe, particularly Season 8 of Fear the Walking Dead. We're gonna talk about confirmation by the Fear the Walking Dead showrunners about the fact that the radiation treatment that they've been teasing at will not be a cure for the zombie virus, which is a super interesting reveal, and it brings up a lot of different things as far as what does that mean for the future of Fear the Walking Dead, the future of the Walking Dead universe, and the future of some of the characters that may have been able to be treated, but now that might not be the case. So stay tuned, we'll be right back to break this down. Alright, as always, before we dive into it, smash the like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. With that said, let's dive right into it. Recently, co-showrunner Andrew Chambliss confirmed June's research for Padre is actually not a cure. And this is super interesting. He basically says that this is a useful tool to stop the infected tissue from spreading, but it won't fully cure the patient. Here is a more detailed description of what he had to say about this. Chambliss indicated that June hasn't actually discovered a permanent remedy for the Walker apocalypse. And this is a quote from him. Well, if she did discover a cure, then she deserves a Nobel Prize. But the one thing we should say is that what she was doing on that train, what Padre is doing on that train, really is akin to kind of a more advanced form of amputation. It's trying to remove the infected tissue before the infection can spread. So even if what they're doing in that train ends up working, it's not a cure. It's not going to end the zombie apocalypse. It would certainly be a very useful tool to have to allow people to survive, particularly if you get bitten somewhere where you can't just chop off an arm or leg. Now, this is super interesting. I mean, the two things I have to say right away is one, it's too convenient because they know if this is a real thing, it jeopardizes the future of the universe and the real danger of the walkers. Like, if you can just treat it, if there's a cure, then there's no danger, and that means that the universe will end because there is no more threat out there. The zombies aren't a threat anymore. So I feel like it's convenient for them to throw this in there for ratings and to make the story a little more intriguing, but at the same time, because they don't want to fully flesh it out, because they don't want it to be an actual cure, they're going to give us this sort of answer so that fans aren't expecting a cure. But at the same time, it's acting as a short-term cure. You know what I mean? And the next thing I have to say about this is that this complicates the fate of a few of our survivors who we thought could be cured with this thing. The first person in my mind is Finch, Dwight and Sherry's son. Now, obviously, going back to what Andrew Chambliss said, he was bit in the neck, and that's not an area you can amputate. So instead of amputation, which is not possible, they're doing the radiation treatment. But I feel like based on everything he said and based on the fact that this isn't really supposed to be the cure, I feel like all this is gonna do is buy Finch a few more weeks. And it's not actually going to help him survive. Because at the end of the day, the radiation treatment kills infected cells. But there hasn't been any case proven to June or anyone else about this being a long-term, permanent cure or a permanent way to reverse the effects of the infection. So I feel like if by the end of Fear, Finch ends up not dying then we have something to work with. But at this point, I'm leaning towards Finch not actually being cured, but the radiation treatment just buying him a few more weeks before the infection gets to him and he gets killed as a result. Now, obviously, recently we saw another case of that. We saw Grace get bit as well. And similarly, she was bit in the stomach where you can't amputate. So now, obviously, they're going to use the treatment, or I should say, they're going to try. I think, unlike Finch, Grace is not going to be able to survive, even for a few weeks. Hear me out. Grace has got radiation already from the past, from working at the power plant that she was working at. And now, it's not like she just got bit, she got sick, or she knew she was sick before that. Basically, her radiation sickness came back. So what that means is that the radiation treatment won't be able to help Grace. If more radiation gets to Grace, it could kill her quicker than the virus. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. I mean, we're going to have to wait to see what they do, but at this point, I'm leaning towards Finch maybe surviving a few more weeks, but not Grace. So for those who thought the radiation treatment is going to help Grace, you might want to prepare yourself for an upsetting reveal. The other thing that we also need to keep in mind is that the mutation with the radiation varies between people. We've seen sort of a different outcome with Alicia, one that was more long term, maybe, and then we have a sort of outcome for Finch where it might have bought him a few more weeks, and we saw another potential outcome with Grace because the treatment might not even be effective for her. And the last thing I will say here is that I am glad that they didn't actually go the direction where the radiation treatment was the actual cure. Not because it's not interesting and intriguing, but because it undermines and takes away from all of the build up and story that they've done for the Civic Republic military, their scientists, all the other scientists that we've seen working on a cure, from Dr. Jenner at the CDC to scientists for the CRM to others that are trying to find a cure. So I feel like if it was that easy, then really raises the question of why didn't the others find it already? You know what I mean? But that's pretty much everything I wanted to go through in this video. Again, we're gonna have to wait and see what happens with Finch, what happens with Grace, and whether this radiation treatment ends up being a potential way to prevent the virus from spreading like the mutation does, or if this is going to be something that is a one-time thing with the last few episodes of Fear, and then we're never going to see it again in the universe. But that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.